This is 26-year-old Dawson McGee, sitting in a police interrogation room in the early hours of a Tuesday morning. The Monday night before, he stabbed his own mother to death for asking him to move out of the house and get a job. Dawson is unaware that he is being recorded on a hidden camera. In 3 seconds from now, he will hear the sound of the door being opened by a detective. And at that exact moment, you will see a remarkably noticeable switch in his demeanor.
We've got something we want to talk to you about. We want to talk to you about what happened to your mom.
What happened to my mom?
Well, you tell me.
People called me and said something happened at home to Mom. They were very bad. What happened to my mom?
Well, that's what I'm asking you.
Bear baiting Yukon Nick. Why, shit.
I
knew his ways would catch up with him someday.
Brother and sister to
He's
tell
a
me.
trapper,
Okay.
but maybe more
Well, so,
like a feudal lord.
well,
The way he runs that country up there.
Was your sister home this
It's
weekend?
medieval, I tell you.
Wait, didn't
Anyone wants to trade for near Nick, they got to be
If
ready
you
for
want
a
one.
fight. So I guess that's what happened to get him in trouble.
Well, that's up to you if you like one.
They sent a marshal up there to
would
speak
like to
to him
talk
a
to
few
you.
days ago. Been captured, most like. Don't let that happen to you.
I would offer I would ask for a attorney.
You want to ask for an attorney?
Dogs!
Okay.
Who like my wares?
It would come as no surprise that a judge deemed him fit to stand trial. A jury then found him legally sane, and he was sentenced to life in prison for the murder of his mother. All of which was in spite of a continuous charade of mental illness similar to the one you see here. Dawson clearly believed that his passage through the legal system would somehow be easier if he were presumed insane, which is a naive, yet somewhat common misconception that many suspects make when facing serious charges. They have this notion that a plea of insanity would either lower the severity of their punishment or liberate them from it altogether. That instead of being sent to prison, they would simply be released back into society, perhaps with a free psychotherapeutic program to attend on the weekends. This is, of course, a far cry from reality. In the United States, if you're found responsible for a serious offense, but also found not guilty of the crime by reason of insanity, you will be institutionalized at a high-security psychiatric facility. These institutions are without question some of the darkest and most disturbing places in the system. And if you're not actually suffering from the crippling effects of mental illness, living in this type of environment will be a mentally agonizing experience. The foresight of what occurs inside these units would make the majority wish to avoid them. But once you are in, it is very hard to get out, and you will have to serve the same, if not a greater amount of time than you would have had to serve at a regular prison. So to put it briefly, if you commit a serious offense and then pretend to be crazy in order to get away with it, your life from that point forward will be an extremely dark and uncomfortable existence whether you manage to fool the system or not. But there is one benefit, which is the elimination of capital punishment. The United States cannot execute someone deemed insane during the time of their offense, which is the only conceivable reason a defendant would cling to this narrative even after knowing what lies ahead should it succeed. And this happens to be a notion that ties in closely to the primary subject of this video. It will focus on one particular individual whose interrogation footage is so fraught with blatant trickery that most of the segments presented to you won't even need suggestive commentary. You can simply observe and judge for yourself whether you see authentic behavior or not. But before showing you what pretending to be crazy looks like, we'll briefly show you a genuine case of the criminally insane, or at least a far more convincing one. This is 18-year-old Jared Murray, a freshman at East Central University in Oklahoma. On a Wednesday evening in December, he asked fellow student Gennaro Sanchez for a ride to Walmart. Once they got there, Murray pulled out a handgun and made Gennaro drive to an isolated country road where he shot him twice in the head. He then attempted to hitchhike to Canada, but was soon apprehended by police on the side of the road. He immediately confessed to the crime once apprehended, and was then interrogated by the arresting officer.
I went down to his dorm room and asked if I could be given a ride to Walmart in exchange for $20 gas money.
So he took you to Walmart?
Yes, sir.
Did you both go in?
No, he did not go in, sir.
And why not?
We pulled into the parking lot, then I pulled the weapon on him and demanded that he take me to Asher, Oklahoma, sir.
And why did all of a sudden did you decide that you need to go to Asher?
because I was planning to take him out into the country and kill him.
Okay. Did he say anything?
He panicked, wanted to pull out his phone. I yanked the phone out of his hand, and then he panicked some more. Kept telling me not to kill him. To make him feel more comfortable, I unloaded the clip, unloaded the bullet from the chamber, handed them over to him, and that eased his nerves a little. Then I pulled a second clip out of my pocket and set it on my lap.
And so you're driving east, and so I guess at some point, did you decide now was the time?
Yes, sir.
Okay, and what happened?
I loaded the gun quickly, chambered the round quickly, shot once, missed, shot a second time, hit, jumped out of the car, went around. He was driving 10, 15 miles an hour, so it was rather slow. Ran around the hood of the car, and of course it was slow. It was the purpose of the drive. Tried to pull him out, couldn't get him out until he already had hit the tree. Pulled him out there, dumped him into the, before I dumped him into the ditch, I heard him gurgling. I'm not sure if that was a physiological or physical process after death, but I thought that he might have still lived through that somehow, because he was gurgling, so I shot him again and then shoved him down in the ditch.
He makes a half-hearted attempt to conceal the body with a handful of leaves and a stick. He then walks in the direction of the highway.
Did you get back on the highway?
Yes, sir.
And which way did you go?
No, sir.
And what were your intentions? You were walking north.
Canada, sir.
You was going to Canada?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
He states that his plan was to escape into Canada, but he had nothing to escape with, not even a passport.
I had tried hitchhiking most of the way because the only way this was going to work, factoring in my belief that y'all found the crime scene, is if someone were to give me a ride there and then. And then whenever your patrol car was pulling up behind me, I didn't know it was a patrol car. I stuck my thumb out and he was there for the rest.
Jerry, I want to ask you just point blank, because, I mean, you sat here and confessed to,
Pretty much everything.
in my mind, and I think you might agree with me, that cold-bloodedly killed a young man tonight.
Yes, sir.
Or last night. Have you ever killed anybody else?
No, sir.
You will now see the detective attempt to establish a motive for the crime.
I guess I'm having a hard time understanding what you got out of it. Can you help me?
I don't really get anything out of it.
Do you feel any remorse?
I'm sad that I got caught so quickly.
Tell me why I should believe you that there just was going to be one person that was going to suffer from your consequences of killing.
You have no reason to believe me, sir.
I guess I'm just still having a real hard time understanding why.
The detective fails to establish a solid motive for a further 2 minutes. The discussion eventually lands on the victim's long-term girlfriend.
You know that she's going to be upset, heartbroken.
I think she will be, sir.
How did that make you feel?
Never, sir.
I think you've been honest with me. I think you've told me just straight up, right out of the book, what happened.
Yes, sir.
But, you know, you've done a terrible thing tonight.
Yes, sir.
You killed a young man,
Yes, sir.
just for the simple fact of, I guess pretty much this is safe for you.
Yes, sir.
And what do you think should happen to you?
Death sentence, sir.
And why do you think you deserve death sentence?
An eye for an eye, sir.
Do you believe an eye for an eye?
Yes, sir.
Jared Murray was found not guilty by reason of insanity. He was committed to a high-security mental facility where he is to remain indefinitely.
Anything to say for yourself today?
No, ma'am.
Any reason why you might have done this to this young man?
No, ma'am.
No reason.
No, ma'am.
You have nothing to say for yourself.
No, ma'am.
You want to tell the community anything?
No, ma'am.
Did you confess to police?
Yes, ma'am.
Are you proud of what you've done?
No, ma'am.
Do you have remorse for what you've done?
No, ma'am.
He appears completely void of human emotion. No regret, remorse, shame, nor fear. He had both taken a life and destroyed his own, yet seems indifferent to the circumstances. With respect to his interrogation footage, the most conspicuous element was the complete lack of self-preservation. He didn't once attempt to deflect blame, nor afford himself any type of justification for his actions. He simply spoke in a factual, non-biased manner, impartial to how his words may have been taken or even twisted to be used against him. There was no calculated structure to his behavior whatsoever. So with this notion in mind, let's move on to the primary subject of this video.
Put in a minute, have a seat. That's mark there, all right? Put your hands up a little bit. Have a seat. Put your feet up. Do not think about getting up, right, buddy?
This is 19-year-old Nicholas Cruz, who 3 hours and 55 minutes prior to this moment murdered 17 people at his former high school in Parkland, Florida. Among the dead were 3 teachers and 14 students, the majority of whom were 14 years old. A further 17 students were seriously wounded during the massacre. The gunman dropped his rifle 7 minutes into the rampage and then blended in with the crowd as he ran out of the building. He was at large for 1 hour and 20 minutes, during which time he stopped off at a Subway and then a McDonald's, where he sat down and casually spoke to one of the victim's brothers. The student was unaware that his older sister had just been shot through the chest by the man sitting across the table. The description of the shooter was transmitted by police over the radio, which led to an officer identifying and arresting him on a street just 2 miles away from the school. He was taken to the nearest hospital and examined by a doctor for roughly 1 hour and 45 minutes. He was medically cleared and then transferred to the local sheriff's office, where he was subjected to interrogation.
Do not think about getting up, right, buddy?
From the moment the subject entered the room, his eyes have been fixed upon nothing but the floor. He's held on to this downward-facing gaze as if he's either in a state of shock or disconnected from the moment.
Now I am leave. That would be real stupid. You see this?
Yeah. Just try to close it all.
At the exact moment the door shuts, he lifts up his head to observe his surroundings. His behavior completely shifts once he believes no one is watching. If we look at his demeanor a moment earlier, we can see the contrast. He went from being detached to alert. His behavior changed as the environment changed, which is a recurring theme throughout this interrogation. It shows us that his mind isn't wandering off during these moments of apparent disconnection. He is in fact fully present and very aware of what's going on around him. As he looks up, his eyes immediately lock onto the camera. He now knows he is still being watched, and his following gestures will resemble that of someone with suicidal tendencies. At face value, these externalized suicidal thoughts may seem genuine to some, but when framed with the rest of his behavior throughout this interrogation, they are exposed for what they really are: an act, a calculated attempt to garner sympathy and paint his character in what he believes to be a more positive light.
Ruthless bastard.
All right, how you doing, Nick? You all right? Gotta be able to speak so I can hear you. All right, I just need to ask you really your name and date of birth just to confirm I got it right, and I'm gonna see if you want a glass of water or something. What's your first name?
This is a situation where the proof against the suspect is already conclusive. He is without question responsible for the crimes under investigation, making the pursuit of a confession non-essential. The police know he did it, but they need to know why he did it, which would already require a complex strategy in order to obtain the correct information. But the suspect's first recorded statements upon his arrest have now made the procedure considerably more difficult.
What's going on today, bro?
The demons, man.
Demons?
Voices.
Voices and demons?
Where's the voices? What happened?
Shut up. Just be quiet, man.
Demon man.
These two words have now forged the primary stratagem of his own interrogation, which is to cut through deception under the guise of supportive examination. The questions will be designed to lock him into a specific narrative about his alleged psychosis, while simultaneously giving him the impression that his responses are for his own benefit. Anything he says now can be used to refute any amendments he might come up with at a later stage. We all know that after this interrogation, he will have significantly more time to think, study, and even seek guidance from professionals about how the legal system interconnects with mental illness. Yet the majority of this forthcoming knowledge could be useless to him depending on what he says during these moments. The more details he gives away, the less options he will have for his defense later on. But pursuing this objective is complicated, as there are two very common scenarios for when this type of suspect gets interrogated. And just to be entirely clear, by this type of suspect, we mean someone who is 1. Pretending to be insane, and 2. Not fooling anyone. Their most common response is to simply shut down. They regress into total silence or some type of catatonic state, and the interrogation never gets off the ground. The other common response is the exact opposite. They erupt into hysteria or supposed delirium, and everything from that point forward becomes incoherent. The lead detective, John Curcio, must not allow either of these scenarios to transpire, and this makes the first 2 minutes absolutely crucial. He needs to create a positive first impression and resemble the furthest thing from a threat, while at the same time maintain a presence of authority. His temperament will be easygoing and non-confrontational, but also encouraging when extracting a response. His role at this moment is the ally. He needs to be liked, respected, but must not be feared. Not yet anyway. Going off the suspect's initial demeanor, the detective will know that he is far more likely to regress into a state of silence at this opening stage. And if he can prevent that from happening within the first 2 minutes, he is over the first obstacle.
All right, how you doing, Nick? I just need to ask you really your name and date of birth just to confirm I got it right, and then I'm gonna see you want a glass of water or something. What's your first name? Come on, Nick. Huh? Spell it for me.
Okay.
Come on, I'm old. You gotta talk so I can hear you. N-I-K. O.
L.
Okay. A-S. And what's your middle name? Come on, man, speak so I can hear you.
Jacob.
Jacob. J-A-C. What's your date of birth? Okay, you need to relax, because I'm the last detective or policeman you're going to have to talk to. So right off the bat, that should be somewhat comforting to you to know that I'm the last guy you got to talk to. But the thing about it is, look at me. I got to be able to hear you. Okay? So all I want to do is get basic information from you, and then we'll get into the, whether you want a glass of water, all that stuff. What's your date of birth?
09.
January?
09.
09 September.
The investigation team already know the answers to these basic questions. Their only purpose are to initiate a response, and their non-threatening nature make it more likely for the suspect to engage. They are essentially the opening wedge to get the two-way dialogue flowing. And although the suspect is still partially committed to his catatonic state, as we can clearly see, he is still responsive, making it unlikely for him to regress into complete silence from this point forward. Everything up to this moment has gone to plan. The detective has one foot in the door, and he can now develop the relationship from a more secure position. He goes about this with a standard method of rapport development, the offer of food and water.
All right, let me do this. You want cold water? You don't know if you want cold water? Thank you. I'm going to bring in 2, because I want one. It was hot, and then if you decide you want to have it, that's fine. You sure you don't want something to eat? Okay.
The refusal to accept food and water is a familiar response which you may have already seen on this channel. It's a glaring manifestation of shame. This is not to be confused with guilt nor remorse, both of which require the acceptance of responsibility, which in turn directs our focus outwards on the feelings of others. Shame, on the other hand, shifts our focus on the perceptions of others towards ourselves. The subject is afraid of how it will look if he accepts the offer considering the circumstances. He instead wants to appear as if he's so negatively affected by the events that he's unconcerned with meeting his basic needs.
Of course, I have so many different keys. All right, I'll be right back.
Once again, his demeanor abruptly switches when the detective leaves the room. With his head buried in his hands, it's anyone's guess as to what is going through his mind at this moment. But what you are about to see next is extremely revealing. Cruz was a left-handed shooter. The surveillance at the school would confirm this, and if you pay close attention to the movements of his hands in the next moments, although very subtle, you can see that he's reimagining holding his weapon. But what's more telling is how his demeanor abruptly stops and then completely switches right before he looks in the direction of the camera. He goes from holding a rifle and beginning to smirk, to then pretending to cry and reverting back to his suicidal mannerisms. This all occurs in under 4 seconds. It could be assumed that for a brief moment, he was not only recollecting the attack, but gaining gratification from doing so. He then remembered he was on film, giving reason for the sharp adjustment. His true self was reliving the attack and enjoying his work, while his false self was so dejected to the point he was externalizing suicidal thoughts. Complete opposites. His next calculated charade is one of self-harm. He first bites himself without drawing blood, or leaving any marks that were visible in his jail intake photographs. He then scratches and squeezes at the 2 needle punctures in his arm from where his blood was taken at the hospital. At the very moment the detective re-enters the room, he will act as if he's desperately trying to conceal his self-injurious behavior.
All right.
Setting aside the glaring contradiction that he just murdered and maimed dozens of people while leaving himself without so much as a scratch, it's the frequency of these little charades that makes their deception so transparent. This is a person who is not self-injurious, pretending to be someone that is. But it's such a feeble attempt at feigned self-harm, it would almost be a comical moment if the circumstances weren't as horrific.
So if they're not bleeding anymore, you want them off, we can pull them off. I'll get you a garbage can. You want them off? Just put them on the throw them on the floor in the corner. Alright, this one is mine. Because I already opened it. This one's yours in case you change your mind.
The next 4 minutes are the extremely tedious process of getting the subject to engage further through basic questions. The topic of his phone will now be brought up.
What about your phone? Do you have a phone?
I lost it.
When did you lose it? Today?
Yeah.
Okay. What kind of phone is it?
I don't know.
Okay, is it a flip top, an iPhone, a Samsung? It's a phone. What's the number?
I can't remember.
Okay.
He will now begin to feign a state of hysteria, which then morphs into a simulated panic attack and fake hyperventilation. The detective will need to refute the act immediately as to not let the subject gain confidence with it, but he also has to maintain rapport and avoid confrontation. He essentially has to tell the subject to knock it off, but in the most passive manner possible.
I can't really, dude. I can't.
Okay, Nick, calm down. You've already been medically cleared. I know what's going to be talked about is difficult, but again, you don't remember your phone number. How long you had the phone? How long have you had the phone? Nick, the doctor's already looked at you.
Okay.
Okay, you're fine. You're not having any problems at the moment, and you're perfectly fine. So calm your breathing down, all right? And I want to believe certain things that you're going to tell me, but, you know, if we're getting where you're going to hyperventilate over a phone number, okay? All right.
All right.
So what's your phone number? Huh?
954.
Okay, 954.
The manic episode is somewhat curbed, but the subject is still clearly committed to it.
954-821.
2007.
2007.
1007.
1007. And again, going back to what kind it is. Do you know if it's an iPhone, a Samsung? How long have you had it? Every kid knows what the phone is. Man, I got kids your age.
Ever since my mother died.
I know, I heard about that. That's what I was going to talk about next.
This is a turning point. Cruz's adoptive mother had indeed passed away the year prior from pneumonia. The topic is sympathetic towards himself, and it seems to have stopped the feigned hysteria in its tracks. Compared to his neurotic behavior in the minutes leading up to this moment, he all of a sudden appears calm. He is clearly receptive, and thus responsive, to the cue of compassion when it's directed at himself. The detective recognizes this, and although he said he would talk about the subject's mother next, he instead focuses on it immediately to keep him engaged.
Alright. So, but you had, since your mom died, how long has your mom passed?
I can't remember, I think.
Okay. This year or last year?
November.
November? Okay. Okay, when your mom passed, were you living with her?
Yes.
Okay, what city was that? Parkland?
The subject drops the act and becomes more engaged in the conversation. The detective inquires further about his mother for roughly 3 minutes before shifting the discussion. It focuses mainly on the subject's background, and he first declares that he was depressed for the majority of his childhood. He then reveals his history of drug use, which consists of marijuana and Xanax. After that, he claims to have attempted suicide by alcohol poisoning 2 years ago, but in his own words, was able to sleep it off. He then states that he was employed at the Dollar Tree for the last 2 years working as a cashier.
So you've been able to hold down a job for 2 years, that's pretty good, right?
Yes.
Other than Dollar Tree, where else did you ever work?
Lawnmower.
What?
Lawnmower.
Lawnmower? Oh, okay. Alright, when you tried to kill yourself with alcohol, your mom was still alive. What were you depressed about back then?
Loneliness.
Loneliness?
Loneliness.
Friends? No friends? Or what kind of loneliness? I mean, everybody gets lonely.
Solitude.
Solitude? You don't have a lot of friends?
No.
Okay. Today, when I say today, starting from last night when you went to bed to this morning, did you do any kind of drugs at all? Any Xanax, any marijuana, anything like that? No? Okay.
The subject reveals that he has a biological brother whom he was adopted with. He then claims to have been making $1,200 a month at the Dollar Tree. The discussion now lands on what his aspirations were.
When you weren't depressed, what did you want to be when you got out of school?
Ranger.
A ranger? An Army Ranger? Did you ever apply, fill out any paperwork to try to go to the Army?
I took the odds and failed.
Okay, why'd you fail?
Because I was stupid.
You what?
I'm stupid.
You're stupid? Okay, were you going to take it again?
I was afraid to take it.
Okay, but you had aspirations to do something with your life. You wanted to be that's a hell of a thing to want to be an Army Ranger.
The discussion moves on to the subject's gun collection, which continues for roughly 4.5 minutes. The attack on the school is yet to be mentioned, but the last gun to now be discussed was his choice of weapon to commit the massacre.
What made you choose out of all the guns to want to buy an AR-15?
Cool weapon.
Cool weapon. Okay. Now when you bought it, I mean, it was a legitimate purchase. They gave you a receipt and everything, right? So you bought it legally, right? Did you fill out those forms and everything? Okay, you remember those forms? Okay.
The detective now shifts the topic onto his former high school, the same place he carried out the attack.
Now, 3 years ago when you went to Douglas, and obviously you stopped going there, why did you stop going there?
My depression worsened.
Your depression worsened? And what was going on? Did you just stop school on your own, or did some incident happen where...
Yes, some incident.
Well, what was the incident that happened?
Fought a kid.
You fought a kid? You remember the kid's name?
Yeah.
Ian. And did you guys both get in trouble for the fight, or?
Yeah.
Okay. Well, what did they do? Suspend you?
They suspended me.
Okay. And what happened from there? After you got suspended, you go back to school?
Yeah.
Okay. What happened? Why'd you stop going there then?
Felt embarrassed.
You felt embarrassed because you got suspended, or you felt embarrassed because of what?
Because of the fight.
Okay. Well, what was embarrassing about the fight? What were you guys fighting over?
Girl.
Girl? Well, what was embarrassing about it? I mean, he didn't get the better of you? Was that what was embarrassing, or he got the better of you? Okay.
He has just provided the state with a solid argument for a motive. Establishing a reason for an offense is critical when dealing with claims of insanity. It can not only indicate premeditation, but also calculated malice in connection to the crime, something considered absent in the mind of the criminally insane. He also asserts that he was lonely and depressed while attending the school, all of which can reinforce the argument that he was exacting revenge upon the community in which he felt ostracized.
Alright, so you go back to school. What ends up happening? You just stop going to school out there, or you got into more problems? Where they
Got into more problems.
What was the more problems?
Failing class.
Okay.
Not going to school.
Okay. And this was all while your mom was still alive?
Yeah.
Okay. Did there come a point in time where you just stopped going there, or they expelled you?
Or I just stopped going and then transferred me.
They transferred you? When they transferred you, was that upsetting to you?
Yeah.
Okay.
As we know, the suspect has made the claim about hearing a voice which he labeled the demon. The detective will now attempt to get a detailed narrative of these perceptual disturbances. He will do so by asking a series of open-ended questions and then continuous follow-up questions thereafter. This will lock him into specific claims about what he was hearing. The more information he gives away, the less he will be able to amend later on. And the more questions that are posed, the more likely he is to make contradictions that can be used against him. The suspect believes this is some type of clinical evaluation for the sake of his own well-being, and this misconception will become glaringly apparent later on. He, at this moment, is oblivious to the fact he is giving information away that will be used to cut through his own defense in years to come.
You go to the hospital, the doctors clear you, and you're talking about demons. What are the demons?
Voices.
Well, tell me about it. What are the voices about?
It's another voice, the evil side.
Okay. And how long has that voice been going on?
Years.
Did you ever tell anybody about the voice? Never? And what does the voice say to you?
Burn, kill, destroy.
Okay, burn, kill, destroy what?
Anything.
Okay. But have you ever burned, killed, or destroyed anything? What have you burned, killed, or destroyed?
Burned, just fire. Set fire.
To what?
In a pit. Fire.
Oh, a fire pit. Okay, well, I mean, the voice told you to burn something, you built a fire in a fire pit. What's destructive about that? That's what fire pits are made for. What else did the voice tell you to do that's...
Kill animals.
Okay, have you ever killed animals?
Yes.
What kind of animals?
Birds.
Birds? Wild birds or people's pets? How do you kill them?
Birds.
How do you kill them?
Wait for them, kill them.
Oh, can't catch them, so how are you waiting for them?
What are you looking for?
Caught in the grass. Wait for a bird to come up.
There's no way, man. I'm a bird lover. There's no way. You can't catch a bird, Holmes.
No, I mean like...
With a pellet gun? Oh, okay. Where's your pellet gun?
Anything else? Just say the word.
Alright, so the voices tell you to hurt animals and start fires in the fire pit. When was the last time you heard the voice?
Yesterday.
What time was it yesterday?
It was at night.
Okay. And where were we at?
Work.
You're at work? So you're at Dollar Tree. And what's the voice telling you?
Hurt people.
To hurt people. Hurt people at Dollar Tree? Or hurt people?
Hurt people in general.
Okay. Doesn't say specifically who? Alright. Can you tell how old the voice is?
My age.
Okay. Do you have a good voice too, or just a bad voice? Is there a voice inside you that says, do good things?
The detective will now start getting confrontational, and the subject's behavior will shift once more in response. You will see him get defensive as he attempts to protect his narrative, and his responses will become much faster. He will even cut the detective off multiple times. Keep in mind that he was barely saying anything at the start of this interrogation.
No? Can't be. You held down a job for 2 years. If you were doing things bad, you wouldn't be able to hold the job down for 2 years, right? Okay. I mean, look. Everybody has...
It's me and then my bad side.
I understand. Everybody's got a, quote, good and bad side. There's people...
No, it's a voice. The voice is in here. And it's me. Just regular me. Just trying to be a good person.
Okay.
Set aside his contradicting behavior for a moment and focus solely on his storyline. In his ideal scenario, we are to believe that he was battling these supposed voices and, in his own words, trying to be a good person. Yet he was unable to reveal or seek help for this internal struggle until the very moment of his arrest. It was quite literally the second he was confronted with his comeuppance that his supposed demons came to light. Now that he is in custody, with the atrocities already committed, he is somehow able to maintain control over the force that was previously keeping him silent. But a deleted video that would later be extracted from his phone would tell a very different story.
Hello, my name is Nick, and I'm going to be the next school shooter of 2018. My goal is at least 20 people with an AR-15 and a couple tracer rounds. I think I can get done. Location is Stone Douglas in Parkland, Florida. It's going to be a big event. And when you see me on the news, you'll all know who I am.
There are no signs of perceptual disturbances. There is no anguish, doubt, hesitation, or uncertainty when announcing his intentions. By his own narrative, he claims to have continuously fought against the evil intentions of the voice. Yet from a visual standpoint, there is no conflict in this video whatsoever.
It's me and then my bad side.
I understand. Everybody's got a, quote, good and bad side. There's people...
No, it's a voice. The voice is in here. And it's me. Just trying to be a good person.
Okay. But obviously, again, when you say it's a voice, it's you. It's all you. The voice is you as well.
Yeah.
The voice didn't force you to do anything, right?
No, the voice did. It's two voices. There's one half that's the good and then the bad.
Yeah.
His rapidly interchanging behavior has now gone from catatonic to manic to hallucinatory to now highly attentive and cautious.
Well, what do you think?
Okay, well, the voice tells me to go to lunch and not pay for my meal, but I pay for my meal because I know that's the right thing to do, right? Okay, let's talk about this. Did the voice didn't tell you to take Uber, right? It did? Yes. The voice said take Uber. Did the voice?
The voice is in me.
You're the voice. There's
in here.
Okay, it's in your head.
Yes.
What is it, a male voice or a female voice?
Male.
Male?
The subject was beginning to panic, but the detective dials it in for the time being and switches the discussion back to more trivial matters. It seems that he wants to consult with the investigators outside before maximizing the pressure, and he reestablishes a certain level of trust before leaving the room.
Here we go. I'm going to go back and see what everybody's doing as far as what they need me to do.
You're not a psychologist or anything?
Or? No, I'm not. I'm a 59-year-old man who's raised 3 children, so I guess that makes me somewhat of a psychologist.
Think you can give me a psychologist here?
Yeah, anything's better than nothing.
I can certainly ask.
Okay.
Have you ever seen a psychologist before?
No.
Okay.
The subject scratches his arm for another 2 minutes. He then switches to a hallucinatory state and appears to be seeing things in the room.
All right, got some stuff here.
The detective will once more dismiss the act by pretending to not see it. He will then pose a question to the subject, and the charade will cease immediately.
Here's the water. Oh, you put it back over here? You definitely don't want the water, huh?
It's very interesting to observe his facial expressions at the exact moments he abandons fake behavior. These are the very brief junctures in which his true self appears to surface. It's easy to get distracted by the present situation as he sits there in a hospital gown chained to the floor, essentially helpless to the cunning devices being used against him. But in moments like this, we are reminded of what we're actually dealing with. A very short time ago, he was not helpless at all. He was the one preying on the helpless, offering them none of the sympathy nor mercy of which he is now trying to garner for himself.
All right, this school, or this psychologist you want to talk to. Obviously, I would have to tell him what you want to talk to him about. So what exactly, what do you want me to ask him? Why do you want to talk to a psychologist?
Find out what's wrong with me.
What do you think's wrong with you?
The detective in this next segment will attain further information about the supposed voices, only he will no longer have to tread carefully in order to maintain a friendly connection. He will still secure useful information, but also get confrontational as and when he pleases. The risk of frightening the suspect to the point where it stops the interrogation is no longer a concern.
When you hear the voices, are the voices like outside your head or inside your head when you hear them?
Inside.
Okay, so it's not like you don't hear a voice from the corner talking to you. It's inside your head. And is it always the same voice or is it only one voice?
One voice.
And you said it's a man's voice? Yeah. Does it sound like anybody you've ever met? Anybody you ever seen on TV? Can you tell, like, by an accent, what kind of, is it an old man, young man, white man, black, young man? About the same age as you think? There's only one voice you ever hear, right? Do you hear the voice when you're in bed at night sleeping?
Yes.
Do you ever see anything with the voice? Like yeah, you know, some people say, oh, I see a person sitting in the corner. You don't see anybody sitting over there, do you? Just me and you, right? Alright. Do you always obey what the voice tells you to do?
Right now.
Okay. Well, how many, on any given week, how many times do you think you hear the voice? All the time?
Once every day.
Once every day? Morning, afternoon, night? Always the same time?
Usually in the afternoon.
About what time?
11, 12.
Why do you think it's those hours?
I don't know.
It's always around lunchtime? Now, you talked about demons, and then you talk about the
that's
voice.
the demon. The voice is the demon.
The voice is the demon. So there's not
the
two...
person, whoever it is.
Does it have a name?
No name.
Does it ever say, hey, my name's Nick, Does it use your name or use somebody else's name? Just a voice with no name.
Which voice was no name, telling what to do.
Did the voice tell you to buy that AR-15?
Yes.
Did it tell you, hey, buy that gun, it looks cool? Did the AR-15 get picked out because it was similar to the gun that an Army Ranger would carry?
No, it was because of the voice.
What do you think if you didn't buy it, if you said, hey, I ain't buying this gun, it's too expensive, what do you think the voice would have done to you? Just stop talking to you?
No, tell me to hurt myself.
How would you hurt yourself?
Cut.
You're a cutter?
I'm a cutter.
When was the last time you cut yourself?
Earlier.
Earlier when?
When I was fishing.
Earlier today or early?
Earlier today.
Where were you fishing at today?
At a lake.
Okay. Before the school shooting?
Yes.
What did you cut yourself with?
A knife.
Those little scratches on your arms? Let me look at them. Come on, man. I get worse scratches weeding my flower bed than that. You weren't trying to hurt yourself.
Yes, it wasn't sharp enough.
Wasn't sharp enough?
No.
How many knives do you have?
4, 5.
How long have you been cutting yourself?
Years.
Yeah. You ever cut yourself where you had to go to the hospital and get stitches? When you cut yourself, it's because the voice just told you to cut yourself. And if you didn't talk or you didn't listen to the voice, then you were going to be alone because your voice was your only friend. That's kind of what you're saying. Even though you have a biological brother. Since me and you have been talking, have you heard the voices? What's it said?
Saying cut yourself.
For you to cut yourself. Does the voice like me?
Huh?
Does the voice like me?
He doesn't trust you.
Why doesn't he trust me? I'm pretty relaxed, ain't I?
I'm trying to figure that out too.
Well, what doesn't he like about me? I mean, I'm kind of grinning because I want to know what the voice's problem is with me. What doesn't he like about me? I treated you fairly. I've given you water. I talked nice to you. You know.
You're too nice.
I'm too nice. Yeah.
Yeah.
How many times has the voice talked to you while we've been in the room here together?
A lot.
Has the voice said jump out of the chair and do anything bad to that policeman?
Saying kill yourself now.
I don't really believe there is a voice, to be honest with you.
Voice.
No, I don't think there is.
I'm telling you the truth. There is.
No. I mean, I feel you probably want to kill yourself because of what happened, but...
No, the voice is telling me to kill myself.
Okay, but the voice is telling you that the AR-15s is... You like guns, man. You wanted to be a ranger. You like guns. It's all right. There's cops like that. There's cops who got 50 million guns. You didn't buy guns because the voice said, hey, today I like Mossbergs, tomorrow I like AR-15s. You like guns.
Can you call the psychologist?
I get it. I've already got the questions from some of the psychologists. Some of the questions I asked you were from them. Yeah.
I see.
Well, that's the ones I asked you. You already?
No.
The questions were obviously from the investigation team and not a psychologist, but the suspect doesn't know this, and it's fascinating to observe his reaction when he sees the questions are not sympathetic in nature. He perhaps thought a psychotherapist would be asking him about his feelings and affording him some type of reassurance after he committed mass murder, and he becomes very unsettled once he realizes the procedure won't be quite as sympathetic.
Voices. Are the inside or outside of your head? What do the voices say? These are all questions I asked you. How many voices? You said one. Whose voice do you think it was? You didn't know.
What's wrong with me?
I don't know. I don't understand why you can't admit you like guns. You want to talk to a psychologist. Why didn't you talk to a psychologist when the voices started?
The voice is telling me not to, and I listen.
The voice was telling you not to talk to a psychologist?
Yeah, but myself, I wanted to.
Do you ever go to church?
I wanted to.
No, I'm saying ever in your life.
Yeah.
Do you believe in God?
I don't believe in God.
What do you believe in?
I feel like there's something.
Okay. But if you believe in demons, do you believe in angels? Angels is the good. Demons are the bad. When you say the word demon, you think it's an evil spirit? Or what do you think it is?
A voice.
The subject had earphones in during the mass shooting. The topic now lands on the music he was listening to.
Well, I mean, I'm sure we don't like the same music. What kind of music we listen to? Name the group.
Mark. What was it? Mark Green.
You have to help me. Mark what?
Mark something.
What was the song though?
Sad.
That's the name of the song? Sad?
No, Salad Days.
Salad Days? Hold on one second.
What else?
Oh, you listen to more than one song? What other song you listen to?
Just a lot of sad songs.
Alright. Did you pick the music yourself? Or did the demon pick the music?
Demon, and then myself, actually.
Alright, which ones did you pick?
The sad ones.
Which ones did he pick?
Evil ones.
The evil ones. Give me an evil one compared to a sad one. You already gave me a sad one. What's an evil one?
Penzerminch.
What?
Penzerminch.
Penzerminch. And what does that say?
I don't know.
I mean, there's no lyrics to it?
Oh, no. Oh, well, there is lyrics, but I don't know what it means.
But is it in English?
No.
What language is it in?
German.
German? Do you speak German?
No.
Then how do you know what the lyrics mean?
I don't.
So they could be happy, right?
I don't know if they're happy or not.
Well, again, you don't because you can't speak it.
The demon chose it. I didn't choose it.
But you have one. How long do you think you had them on your playlist?
For a long time.
Okay, so you've listened to them a lot of times? So you had a playlist of music that the demon helped you pick out, but you picked out some of them. I'm just having a tough time understanding this demon thing.
I know. Nobody understands.
Well, the Xanax you were talking to me about earlier, where'd you get the Xanax? On the street or?
On the streets.
So you used to buy that? Other than Xanax and marijuana, what other drugs you never tried? Vodka? PCP? Cocaine? Heroin?
No.
Okay, Xanax, how many of those did you take when you used to take them?
5.
Okay, 5. What size bar? How big? I mean, what color was it?
Half, sometimes full.
Okay, what color? They all
White.
White. All right, but that was off the street. Did they help you sleep?
Maybe drowsy.
Okay. Did it make the demon go away?
Yeah.
When was the last time you think you did Xanax?
A long time.
So if the Xanax helps you get the demons away,
I think marijuana does it better.
marijuana does better. When was the last time you smoked marijuana?
Last week.
Last week? If you're making $1,200 a week, why didn't you smoke marijuana every day to get rid of the demon?
Illegal.
It's illegal? It's illegal. It was illegal whether you do it once a week or once every 5 minutes. So why didn't you choose to get rid of the demon by doing it? Anytime you heard the demon, just light up a blunt. I mean, you had the money, man.
Yes, I knew it was illegal and I didn't want to do wrong, but he wanted to do wrong.
Okay. So the demon wanted you to do wrong, but then your good side didn't want to do wrong by smoking marijuana?
Even though I made him go away.
Even though it made him go away. Huh. Well, I don't know why you didn't tell the doctor then you had anxiety problems and marijuana and Xanax cured your anxiety and things go away. It seemed like an easy fix, man. If that's true. You sure you didn't like the demon's voice? You sure?
Sure.
Then why didn't you go to a doctor and get rid of it?
I was afraid. I'm just afraid of you.
Why, well, forget that for a second. Let me ask you another question. Was the demon there that night? Ian beat you up on campus? Was the demon there that day when Ian beat you up on campus?
Yes. He told me to walk.
Okay, so who did Ian beat up? You or the demon?
They're killing us.
Okay, so why didn't the demon do something to stop it? Huh? I don't know. That's a good question because the demon's trying to do all these bad things. Why couldn't the demon get me mad enough to get the best of Ian? I mean, I don't know either. It doesn't make any sense. I don't know. The demon's this all-powerful thing that tells you to do bad things and you're afraid of it. Why did the demon just take over right there when Ian was getting the best of you and get the best of Ian? Why did the demon not do that? Why do you think?
Trying to figure it out.
I don't know. I can't figure it out either because I don't think the demon exists.
I think.
I don't think it exists.
Yeah, like,
Don't know what you're doing.
I think that go ahead, bud.
am I able to like think to myself about it?
Yeah, sure. Hey, you can think all you want. I'm just.
No, I was just thinking about the demon.
Alright. Well, you want me, I'll leave you to think for a while and I'll come back and talk to you. I personally, I think you're using the demon as an excuse.
I'm not.
You could have stopped the demon by getting a prescription for marijuana. You could have stopped the demon by getting a prescription for Xanax. You could have stopped the demon by illegally doing marijuana, which you were doing anyway. You could have stopped the demon by doing Xanax illegally, which you were doing anyway. You could have stopped the demon anytime you want. You didn't want to stop the demon.
The subject seems to be coming to the realization that he's not going to be treated as a victim. As he begins to meet this reality, you will notice him exhibit signs of fear. You will then see him attempt to escape the confrontation by feigning a state of psychosis once more. The detective will recognize this, but this time will not afford reassurance. He will instead apply further condemnation, and a visibly frightening realization will engulf the suspect from that point forward. It's essentially the very beginning of retribution. The detective introduces him to the rest of his life at this moment.
No, that's not true.
You didn't. You could have. I've given you 4 ways you could have stopped the demon, man. Okay, now, you know, you're just acting like that because...
No.
Okay, well, relax. You're just acting like that because I'm making sense. Calm down. I'm making sense, and you don't like when it makes sense.
No.
Because it doesn't fit into the story you're telling right now.
I'm telling you the story. It's true. It's just,
Well, why are you looking at your arm now?
I'm trying to understand why.
Well, why didn't you want to stop the demon?
I don't know.
Because I think you like the demon.
No, I don't.
Why didn't you stop it then?
I don't like the demon. I don't like the demon. I don't like the demon. I don't like the demon.
Well, that's if the demon even exists.
Can I get an attorney or something?
You want what? An attorney?
Yeah.
Did the demon, the voices tell you to get an attorney? Okay. All right. Will you tell the voice that don't hit yourself in the head, because the attorney that the demon just requested, I will stop talking to you.
I'm scared.
You're scared of what? What?
Why wouldn't he protect me, man?
I don't know.
Why wouldn't he protect me?
All right. Well, again, your demon wants an attorney. Does the demon know an attorney? Any name in particular? Okay. All right. Well, just relax. You're done talking to me. And once again, I grabbed the wrong key. Alright, do me a favor. Stay seated. Put your hands, kind of sit forward in your chair. I'm going to put handcuffs behind you. Since you keep talking about hurting yourself. Hold on. Put your hand behind your back. No, not behind the chair. Behind your back. I don't want to make it that uncomfortable.
Why don't you want me to hurt myself?
Because what did the demon say about me? I'm a nice guy.
This can't be happening again. Pinche imbécil.
Nicholas Cruz was taken to the Broward County Jail, where he remains in isolation to this day. His trial date is yet to be scheduled.
The 20-year-old has been held without bond since last year's mass shooting that left 17 people dead. His attorney said he would plead guilty in exchange for a life sentence, but prosecutors rejected that offer and are seeking the death penalty.
David Russell Williams enrolled in the Royal Canadian Air Force in 1987 and was soon promoted to captain by January 1st, 1991. From that moment on, he would have been addressed as Sir by his subordinates and Captain Williams by his superiors. Described as an elite pilot and shining bright star of the military, he quickly rose through the ranks and was promoted to colonel in June of 2004, while also being appointed the role of commanding officer at CFB Trenton, Canada's largest Air Force Force base. He was essentially in full command of over 7,000 military personnel, all of whom would have then referred to him as Colonel or Colonel Williams without exception. This would have afforded him an extensive amount of psychosocial equanimity and confidence, and wasn't exclusive to his work life. His designated title of Colonel would have been printed on all forms of identification, and every formal encounter would sanctify this military standing. A doctor, lawyer, police officer, or any other figure of authority would recognize and comply to the traditional courtesy of addressing him by his professional rank, boosting his composure and self-assurance each and every time as his elevated social standing and military achievements were accentuated for all to see. There was one exception, however, and that was the day he met Detective Sergeant Jim Smith.
You just have to see girls.
Before clarifying the psychological relevance as to why a senior detective would purposefully refrain from addressing a highly respected military commander by his formal title, first consolidate each of the elements and circumstances that led to the crossing of paths between these two profoundly dissimilar yet equally fascinating individuals. 10 days earlier, on January 28th of 2010, Andy Lloyd received a call from his mother around midday stating that his younger sister, 27-year-old Jessica Lloyd, had failed to show up to work and wasn't responding to phone calls or text messages. He immediately drove to her isolated home on Ontario's Highway 37 and discovered she wasn't there. There was no sign of a break-in, yet Jessica was known for leaving her doors unlocked, and all of her personal items were still inside the premises, including her phone, passport, and driver's license. Ottawa is known for its remarkably low crime rate and widely recognized as the safest city in Canada. The local authorities had resources to spare, and a missing persons investigation was launched immediately, which included an entire division from the Ottawa Police Force, over 2,000 members of the public, and even a specialist search and rescue unit from the Canadian Air Force. The word spread extremely fast across the city through the help of the media, and on the second day of Jessica's disappearance, an anonymous member of the public came forward with vital information. He stated that while driving home from work the night before, at roughly 3 a.m., he drove past Jessica's house and noticed an SUV parked in a field just a short distance away. He stated that he remembered feeling that something just seemed off, as it was parked in such an unusual area at such a late hour, and he had drove past the premises thousands of times before and not once seen the vehicle before that moment. Police immediately canvassed the area in question, where they found tire tracks in the field and boot prints leading up to Jessica's house. They had attained their first two significant pieces of evidence, which then became the foundation for the next stages of the investigation. Police immediately set up 6 roadblocks throughout the surrounding area and stopped every SUV that passed in the hope of finding a match to the tire tracks. They reportedly stopped over 200 vehicles over the next 4 days, yet had no luck, and were on the verge of reassigning their manpower from the roads to conduct foot patrols in off-road areas and pathways. However, at roughly 7:30 p.m. on February 4th, their luck did a full 180 as the sports utility vehicle of Colonel Russell Williams was stopped. He was reportedly polite and nonchalant about what he thought was a routine traffic procedure and was sent on his way after just 90 seconds. Unbeknownst to him, he was immediately placed under police surveillance from that moment on, as his tires came up as a complete match to the tracks found in the field near Jessica Lloyd's house. 2 days later, on Sunday, February the 7th, he received a call from police headquarters in Ottawa asking him to visit the premises for the purpose of answering questions in relation to an ongoing investigative matter. The colonel didn't inquire further and agreed to drop into the police station immediately. He reportedly told his wife that he would be back for dinner before setting off, and arrived at the headquarters shortly before 3 p.m., where he was greeted by Detective Sergeant Jim Smith, a trained polygraph technician and senior investigator of the Policing Behavioral Sciences Unit.
You just have to see girls. I'm just going to move the gloves there. That's a little microphone, just to make sure there's nice and clear. As you can see here, everything in this room is videotaped and audio taped. You ever been interviewed by the police in a room like this before? Or?
I have never been interviewed like this.
Oh, no? Okay.
Oh, no, this is the closest to interviewed by NIS for top secret clearance.
Oh, yeah? All right. Well, again, Russell, I appreciate you coming in.
The gasconade is casually acknowledged, yet quickly brushed to one side by the detective, followed by the informal address to the subject using his first name. He immediately sets the stage for the interview and takes the colonel down from his elevated platform for the sole purpose of stripping away confidence. This increases the telling signs in body language and intonation when information is fabricated, and also decreases cognitive stamina, lessening the amount of time an individual can keep a facade before they essentially break.
an investigation like this, I mean, I'm sure you can appreciate it's been big news, especially down Belleville way. And you know, obviously our approach to cases like this is that we don't give up on somebody being alive until we get evidence that they're not. So because of that, we're treating Jessica's case as an emergent situation, obviously. So we're fast forwarding things that we might normally take our time with, and that's why we're here on a Sunday afternoon. So again, I appreciate it. We're going to do a pretty thorough interview today, okay? And the reason for that is because the last thing we want is to be calling people back again and again and again, okay? So what we're going to do is we're going to go over a number of things, and I'm going to explain what all those are to you, okay? I'm a big coffee guy. I don't know if you're a coffee guy or not, but I didn't want to drink in front of you, so...
No, I appreciate that.
All right, go ahead.
I could definitely... Are they black?
Yeah, they're just black with sugar. All right, and again, like I said, this interview is going to be very thorough. But again, I have a simple rule when I talk to people. It's I'm sure you're the same way. I treat everybody with respect. I don't want to ask if they do the same for me. So what we're going to do is we're going to start off by going through what your rights are, okay? Just like everybody else, okay? Have you ever been read your rights before?
No.
Yeah, I'm sure you've seen it on TV a whole bunch of times, but that's usually the American version, so I'll go over it with you briefly, okay? Russell, just to avoid any confusion, because people do get confused when they're talked to by the police, is that you're obviously not under arrest here today, okay? Anytime you feel you want to leave here, you feel free to do so. The door's not locked. Teresa will walk you down the lobby anytime you want, okay?
Although the subject was free to leave at any time, there was a very subtle yet highly effective subconscious strategy set in place to try to stop this from happening. The detective has sat between Russell and the door. You will see this method utilized in almost every interrogation, as it's a subliminal message essentially telling the subject, if you want out of this room, you have to go through me.
If there's anything that comes up in our interview today, Russell, that you feel you want to talk to a lawyer about, you just let me know, okay? And the reason for that is I want to explain to you exactly what's going on here, okay? Jessica Lloyd is one of 4 cases that we're currently investigating, okay? And essentially what's happened is over the past about 4 or 5 months, there have been 4 occurrences that, like I said, that we're looking into. 2 of those occurrences occurred in September of 2009, and very briefly, they were up in the Tweed area. They involved somebody entering 2 different women's houses in the evening hours and committing sexual acts. Okay.
During 2009, there were 34 break-ins and attempted break-ins in the quiet town of Orleans, Ottawa, resulting in the theft of hundreds of intimate female garments, 1 incident of rape, and 1 incident of forcible confinement. All of these occurrences took place not far from the home of Russell Williams, who is now the prime suspect for each of these infractions at the time of his interrogation.
In November of 2009, a young lady by the name of Marie-France Como, was found murdered in her home in Brighton. And we believe that there was a sexual component to that crime as well.
Corporal Marie-France Como was a 37-year-old military traffic technician based at CFB Trenton. She was raped and suffocated to death inside her home in late November of 2009, which the colonel was also the prime suspect for at this moment.
And then, most recently, we have Jessica Lloyd's disappearance, okay? So essentially, when you're looking at those kind of crimes, we're looking at a number of different potential criminal charges, right? We're looking at issues all the way from the most serious one, which is first-degree murder, kidnapping, sexual assault, break and enter with intent to commit sexual assault, forcible confinement, okay? And so what I want to make sure you understand, and this is what we've been doing with everybody we've been talking to, is that clearly when we find out who's responsible for one or all of those crimes, they could be charged with one or all of those offenses, okay? Whether it's you or whether it's anybody else, all right? And that's why it's important that we make sure that people understand what they have to do and what they don't have to do when they're talking to us, okay? So as I said before, any point today you feel the need, you want to speak to a lawyer, you let me know, and we can take you to a room where you can do that in private, okay? Is there any reason you want to call a lawyer now? Okay.
These first 2 attacks happened not that far from my place in Tweed. Well, the second one did.
Yeah.
We didn't even know the first one had happened, but I understand that was reasonably close as well. But the second one was very close.
Yeah.
So certainly at the time, we repeated a door-to-door.
Yeah.
days, probably the same night, so I spoke with a couple guys then.
The analysis of vocal intonation is a tricky thing when dealing with interrogations, as it cannot be used as evidence in court, yet intuition would give many the sense that discomposure is emanating from the colonel at this moment. The way he is speaking comes across as slightly nervous and unsure. He would appear to most as being agitated in the manner he is both processing information and communicating his responses. This type of cognitive recognition is a difficult thing to articulate into words, and investigators simply characterize it as gut instinct, which Detective Jim Smith would have no doubt been feeling at this moment.
Okay. Yeah, and I'm aware of that from looking at the different cases. And essentially, Russell, in a nutshell, that's what we wanted to talk to you about, okay? Those 4 cases are of concern to us. And, you know, you've kind of almost hit the nail on the head about some of our issues that kind of make us want to talk to Russell Williams, okay? Because essentially, there was a connection between you and all 4 of those cases. Would you agree? Geographically,
and then I guess
or
I drive past. Yes, I would have to say there's a connection. Yeah.
The colonel is asked to state his movements and activity over the past 4 days, which is known in forensic psychology as gathering pretext. The detective wants to get an initial alibi from the suspect before the confrontational phase of the interrogation begins. This is the most calm a state that he intends to keep Russell in before he ramps up the pressure, and a more relaxed suspect often results in more detailed pretext, thus more information to scrutinize and correlate with any changes made at a later stage.
Friday on the day, I was.
Oh, there you are. What can I do for you?
Friday on the day, I was at home most of the time. Most of the day, I had a stomach flu.
Okay. In Ottawa or Tweed?
Tweed.
In Tweed?
Tweed is a village in Ontario where the colonel had a second vacation home located roughly 125 miles from his house in Ottawa.
Good. Okay. Ain't no trace of rust in that as far as
so
I
we
can see.
backtrack then.
I'd recommend loading up on extra ammo.
So, all day Friday, you're at home?
Yeah.
And then what time do you leave to go to the base to sleep there on the Friday night?
Not sure. Probably just, went in for just before bed. So I probably left Tweed at between 8 and 9 or so.
Okay. And you get to the base and spend the evening there and get up for the 5:30.
Yeah.
Okay.
See how much more
So we backtrack from there. When did you arrive at your home? At the cottage. I want to get confused between your home in Ottawa and the home in Tweed. So
I had been in Tweed all week.
Yeah.
The week prior now. Yeah, I think that's the case. I was in Tweed all week. Flew Saturday. Headed to Ottawa Saturday night.
Okay. So if you didn't have the stomach flu on the Friday,
Hey,
what was your schedule like?
Can't do better than this.
Okay.
What would have been my schedule? Just a standard schedule in the office.
Okay.
So, ops brief in the morning.
This rifle, huh?
A couple of meetings. I can't remember what the specifics were going to be.
Okay. So
Good.
Thursday night you slept at Tweed, or you?
Yep.
All right. And what did you do Thursday during the day?
Thursday during the day, I was at the base again. I think it was a fairly standard day. I can't recall exactly, but yeah, nothing. I was not flying, so I was at the base. So I would have gone in early in the morning, back in the evening again.
Okay.
The method of gathering pretext is then focused on the murder of Marie France Como.
Okay.
Now, I'm not going to walk you through November, but I'm going to take you to a date that's probably pretty fresh in your mind. The day that Marie France Como.
Yeah.
Do you remember how you found out?
I do. Yeah, I was sent an email. Well, as soon as the ops staff and the base learned, they told me.
Okay.
So I got an email. I can't remember if it was late at night or in the morning. It was certainly, I saw it, I want to say first thing in the morning, because I had just come back from Ottawa. I was in Ottawa for a set of meetings on one of the days. I can't remember what day of the week we're talking about, but yeah, no, I mean, obviously when your people gets killed, it gets your attention. So
Absolutely.
yeah, I very much remember that coming in.
And how did you know Marie France Como?
I'd only met her once. She was on a crew I was on just after I got to the base.
Okay. Do you know roughly when that happened?
That we were on the same crew?
The time you met her, the one time there, yeah?
It was soon after I got to the base, so I don't remember exactly, but I would say in the first couple of months, so August, September.
Okay.
Yeah.
Now, you got that email notifying you that something had happened.
Yeah.
Do you have any kind of a clear recollection as to how your schedule was going that week?
Well, I can't remember what day that the message came in. Just a second. No, I can't remember what day of the week, but I'm just thinking there was a whole bunch of activity spun up as a result, obviously.
This little son of a bitch.
I can't remember the day of the week.
Cecil Tucker.
This was the third time in quick succession the colonel stated that he couldn't remember the answer to the question. A normal interaction between two parties would most often elicit the person posing the question to reassure the individual it was directed at. Statements along the lines of, "Don't worry if you can't remember, we'll move on," or "It was a long time ago, it must be difficult to recollect," would be afforded as a form of consolation and to also break the uncomfortable silence. Even during a legitimate witness statement, some form of emotional assistance or encouragement will often be given, especially to someone in the midst of recollecting a distressing moment or time period from the past. On this occasion, there is no such reassurance from the detective whatsoever, only a stoic gaze and not a single shift in body posture during the moments of silence.
I'm just trying to think through the news reports I read. No, I'm sorry, I can't remember what day that was, but what we learned after the fact was that the MPs had learnt of her death, I think quite a bit after her body had been discovered.
Okay.
So I think what happened, sorry, just a second.
So if we were to do a similar investigation in your background, is there anything you can think of that anybody may have misinterpreted, or anything in your history that somebody might say Russell Williams
Absolutely.
did this?
No.
Okay.
Be very boring.
What's that?
It'll be very boring.
All right, because essentially that's what I'm looking at. Is that you seem like a very intelligent person, and I think you can see how a surprise like that would certainly set off some alarm bells in an investigation, right? Okay. So the next thing we need to cover off is, well, I'll just ask you this straight up. Given the types of crimes we're investigating, do you get much chance to watch television shows, CSI, things like that?
I do watch, I prefer Law and Order, but I do watch CSI occasionally.
Okay. So you have an idea of, obviously, the forensic capabilities, things like that are out there. What would you be willing to give me today to help me move past you in this investigation?
What do you need?
Well, would you be willing to supply things like fingerprints, blood samples,
Sure.
things like that?
Yeah.
Okay.
The only two pieces of evidence that police had acquired at this point in time were the tire tracks and the footprints outside the missing person's residence. What many are unaware of is that the DNA found on Marie France Como was not admissible, as her body was highly decomposed at the time of discovery, thus making any genetic analysis virtually impossible, as this was before the era of the latest DNA testing method known as next-generation sequencing. Only one of the sexual assault victims had male DNA found on the back of her neck, yet this was by far the least severe attack, which falls into the bracket of forcible confinement, and had no exterior elements connected to the more serious infractions of murder and rape. The evidence of the tire tracks would be easily refuted by a defense team, as they were a relatively common brand for off-road vehicles, which would extinguish the BRD standard of proof, also known as guilt beyond all reasonable doubt. The only significant piece of evidence were the footprints. It was the singular and emblematic element linked to the culpability of Jessica Lloyd's disappearance. And notice how the Colonel looks down at his own boots as he gives his response to the following request.
Footwear impressions?
Yeah.
Okay. All right. I think that's what we're gonna ask you to do.
Okay.
All right. I told you when I came in here that I'm gonna treat you with respect, and I've asked you to do the same for me. We talked about the whole idea of how we've approached you here. Okay. The trying to be as just rude as possible. Okay. But the problem is, Russell, is every time you walk out of this room, there's another issue that comes up. Okay. And it's not issues that point away from you, it's issues that point at you, okay? And I want you to see that, all right? This is the footwear impression of the person who approached the rear of Jessica Lloyd's house on the evening of the 28th and 29th of January, okay? So essentially, when you're dealing with footwear impressions, we have a gentleman on the OPP who's basically world-renowned. His name is John Norman. And essentially, with footwear impressions, you're in a situation where you're pretty much in the area of fingerprints. Okay?
All of the previous affirmations were fabricated for the sole purpose of heightening psychological pressure. Footprints are not even close to being as indistinguishable nor incriminating as fingerprints.
This is a photocopy of the boot that you took off your foot just a little while ago, okay? Now, I'm not an expert in footwear impressions, so I rely on the experts. Footwear impressions are very much like fingerprint comparisons, okay? You take a look at this print, and again, this is one print. This person walked through, there's several different prints to compare, so we're going to get features off of one print to compare, features off another print to compare. These are identical. Your vehicle drove up the side of Jessica Lloyd's house. Your boots walked to the back of Jessica Lloyd's house on the evening of the 28th and 29th of January. Okay, you want discretion. We need to have some honesty, okay? Because this is getting under control really fast, Russell. Okay, really, really fast. This is getting beyond my control. Right? I came in here a few hours ago, and I called you the way I called you today because I wanted to give you the benefit of the doubt. But you and I both know you were at Jessica Lloyd's house, and I need to know why. Well, you need to explain it because this is the other problem we're having, Russell. Okay? Again, these decisions are made by me. Right now, there's a search warrant being executed at your residence. Okay? So your wife now knows what's going on. There's a search warrant being executed at the residence and your vehicle's been seized. You and I both know that you will find evidence that links you to these situations. You and I both know that the unknown offender, male, on Marie France Comeau's body is going to be matched to you, quite possibly before the evening's over. Okay? This is a major investigation. The Center of Forensic Science is on call 24 hours a day helping us with this. Your opportunity to take some control here and to have some explanation that anybody is going to believe is quickly expiring. Okay? Listen to me for a second, okay? When that evidence comes in, when that DNA match, when that phone rings and somebody knocks on this door, your credibility is gone, okay? Because this is how credibility works, all right? And I know you're an intelligent person and you probably don't need to hear this explanation, but I also know your mind's racing right now, okay? Because I've sat across a lot of people in your position over the years, okay? The bottom line is that as soon as we get that piece of evidence that solidifies it, DNA, okay? As soon as the expert in footwear impressions, the expert in tire impressions, calls and says, yes, I've examined those and they're a match, it's all over. Because as soon as that happens, where's your credibility? Where's your believability? Russell, you know there's only one option. What other option is there?
What's the option?
Well, I don't think you want the cold-blooded psychopath option. I might be wrong. And because don't get me wrong, I've met guys who actually kind of enjoyed the notoriety, got off on having that label. Bernardo being one of them. I don't see that in you. If I saw that in you, I wouldn't be back in here talking to you, quite frankly. But maybe I'm wrong. Maybe you got me fooled. I don't know. This is over. And it can have a bad ending where Jessica's parents continue to wonder where her daughter's lying. And I don't know. I mean, obviously, there's a huge search still underway, and it'll continue. It'll continue until her body's found. Once that happens, then I don't know what other cards you would have to play. What are we going to do? Russ. What are we going to do?
Call me Russ.
Okay. What are we going to do, Russ? Jessica somewhere we can find her easily? Like, is this something where I can make a call and tell somebody to go to a location and they're going to find her, or is this something where we have to go and take a walk? Russ, maybe this would help. Can you tell me what the issue is you're struggling with?
It's hard to believe this is happening.
Why is that? Why is it hard to believe? Russ, is there anything you want from me? Is there anything you want me to explain? Is there something missing that you're struggling with that I can shed some light on for you?
I'm struggling with how upset my wife is right now.
This investigation will end up costing no less than $10 million. Easy. They will say no to nothing. Any request this major case manager makes on this case, they've already been told it's approved. Don't even bother asking. So what am I doing, Russ? I put my best foot forward here for you, bud. I really have. I don't know what else to do to make you understand the impact of what's happening here. Did we talk?
I want to minimize the impact on the dog.
So do I.
So how do we do that?
Well, we start by telling the truth. So where is she?
Get a map.
Is she close to where she lives? I've got maps of that general area. Which town is she near? Why don't we start there?
I'm not sure, but if you give me a map of that covers Calabar down to the highway and over to Tweed and south, I'll show you.
Let me see what I got here. I might have something. Is she inside, outside? Okay, is she close to a road?
Yep.
Looks like
All right.
they put up quite a fight and lost.
Is it something where is she buried, or is she somewhere where if you walk there you would fairly easily see her?
It's here.
Okay. Okay. I'll be right back, okay? Do you want any water or anything?
Sure.
Okay, I'll be right back. How long has she been there for?
A little over a week.
Was it fairly quick from the time she left?
Friday night.
Friday night?
Yep.
So where was she between Thursday night and Friday night?
In Tweed.
With you?
Yep.
How long was she alive for?
Booster. Hello.
Almost 24 hours, not quite.
Okay. Russ? You're doing the right thing here. Okay. Barry, the obvious question I'm gonna have for you is, when they go there, and they'll be there shortly, they're gonna find her.
Oh, yeah.
What do you want to talk about?
Guess it's pretty wide open now, eh?
Yeah.
What do you want to know?
Well, do you want to work forwards or backwards?
Doesn't matter.
Well, why don't we start with Jessica? How does that start for you?
I saw her in her house on her treadmill. Wednesday night, I guess. Then I noticed she wasn't there Thursday. So I got into the house to look around. Then they left. Noticed she'd come home. So I went back in. Through the back patio door while she was sleeping.
Okay. Marie France Como.
There was an open window in the basement of her house when she was away. I went in there a couple of nights before She came home, looked around. I went back in there late at night when she was at home. She was on the phone in her bedroom. She actually discovered me in the basement. She was trying to get her cat to come upstairs, and the cat was in the basement, had seen me and was fixated on me in the corner. She couldn't get the cat up, so she came downstairs to try and get the cat, and I'm not more sure why she came over to me. I guess the cat was staring at me, and she was wondering why the cat was staring at me. The lights were on. So when she spotted me, I had the same flashlight. I subdued her. Tied her up, brought her upstairs. And strangled her later in the morning.
Why do you think these things happen? Have you spent much time thinking about that?
About why?
Yeah.
Yeah. But I don't know the answers.
Your gloves here. That's a little microphone.
Tonight on the Fifth Estate, an unprecedented moment in Canadian crime and justice as it took place and is seen by people who know what happens in the mind of a killer.
Oh, no? All right. Well, again, Russell, I appreciate you coming in an investigation like this. I mean, I'm sure you can appreciate it's been big news, especially down Belleville way.
It started with the police interrogator's version of small talk.
We're fast-forwarding things that we might normally take our time with, and that's why we're here on a Sunday afternoon. So, again, I appreciate it.
And I'm quite sure at that point, it's in everybody's mind, he's not walking out that door a free man that night.
For a while, there was denial.
Okay. Have you ever visited Marie France Como at her residence? No. Okay. All right. So you're quite positive there'd be no reason why your DNA would be in any of those 3 locations?
Now what he's doing is trying to figure out an explanation to give this guy. Because he knows, man, I am screwed. I am so screwed.
It would come down to the 2 men in the room, the commanding officer and the detective.
Your vehicle drove up the side of Jessica Lloyd's house. Your boots walked to the back of Jessica Lloyd's house on the evening of the 28th and 29th of January. Okay. You want discretion. We need to have some honesty, okay? Because this is getting out of control really fast, Russell. Okay, really, really fast.
He was taught to be a commander. He was taught to be a leader. He was taught to segment, take the emotion away, put it there.
But Colonel Russell Williams was about to learn that he was no longer the one in charge.
Russell, you know there's only one option. What other option is there?
What's the option?
Well, I don't think you want the cold-blooded psychopath option.
He's looking at him. He knows he's just dropped the first bomb. This is the beginning of the end.
On this special commercial-free edition of the Fifth Estate, inside the interrogation room.
There's a huge search still underway, and it'll continue. It'll continue until her body's found. That might even happen tonight, for all I know.
We got you. Now, pony up, buddy. Now's time to man up on this thing. Quit acting like a little girl and tell me what happened.
Russell. What are we gonna do?
Call me Russ, please.
What are we gonna do, Russ?
Good evening, I'm Bob McEwen. Welcome to the Fifth Estate.
The picture is not high def. The camera angles are a bit off. The leading man sometimes wanders off screen. But what takes place in the interrogation and confession is more gripping and real than anything ever seen on CSI or Law and Order. When he walks into that room, Colonel Russell Williams is commanding officer of CFB Trenton, Canada's largest, most important airbase, atop
Oh, I'm done here. Christ! Oh, hellfire. Damn, no. Why did it have to be me again? You gonna pay rotten for this? Oh, you don't want to do... Oh, I'm done here. You gonna pay rotten for this? Just go to hell. Oh, hellfire. You gonna pay rotten for this? mind me now, I mean it. Oh, I'm done here. You gonna pay rotten for this? Just go to hell. Surprised you brought him in breathing. More mercy than most. There's your money.
Oh, Christ! I ain't staying for this. Get these damn ropes off of me! My lord! Untie me!
Surprised you brought him in breathing. More mercy than most. All right, take your money.
Getting a little low on supplies here. Ah, I've been hearing about you. Hope you found time for some hunting among all these acts of philanthropy. Please, take a look. All excellent quality. All yours. Very good. You know, I envy you. The thrill of the kill, I miss it.